Alright guys, you're watching JoshBoisTV, and today I have insurance expert
Kona Sillers. Hey guys!
And you may have seen some of our other videos together covering insurance tips for entrepreneurs, our 4 tips for entrepreneurs, and today I'm going to bring up 3 real world examples of some of my businesses and businesses I'm involved with where insurance can be valuable.
Wonderful.
So the first one, which might interest entrepreneurs out there, is my investor relations business, 2030 Ventures. You know, we're always backing different startups and starting them up ourselves. And I can definitely say that investors want to see that a business has insurance, so they know their money's protected. You know, especially when a company's starting, there's a lot of hurdles they're going to overcome, or things they might be trying, which maybe push the boundary a little bit.
Yeah.
What kind of insurances do you think that investors might want to see to protect their investment and their money, and to know that a business isn't going to penetrate the owners?
Sure. Well, outside of insurance, I do recommend having like an LLC and it not being under a sole proprietorship. So that's just kind of entrepreneurial tip 101.
That's definitely the first.
But as far as the type of insurance, I highly recommend you get general liability. I mean, that's just kind of first and foremost. That's going to cover basic things like, your computers, your desks, things like that are just going to take care of anything that happens. If you have a storefront, it's going to cover any, the vandalism. It's going to cover broken windows, things that you just don't want to think about, you don't want to worry about in case something happens, that it's going to be covered. And then you're going to, if you have employees, it's, California law, we're in the state of California, you need workman's comp. So if you have any employees, I highly recommend that you get that. If you provide a service to anybody, like for me, I do insurance, I give my expertise all day. I have something what's called professional liability, or also known as E&O. Doctors and dentists, it's also known as malpractice insurance. So what that is, it just protects me personally. If I give bad information and it's wrong for whatever reason and someone decides to sue me, it protects me and it actually pays out the client. It makes sure they're taken care of and I don't have to pay any money out of pocket. So those are 3 that I would really highlight as far as a professional that I would look into. There's so many more that you can go on top of that. There's BOP, which means you can combine several of these policies, and then that way you get a little bit of a discount, and like employee theft and things like that are also covered under those.
So if they're younger, are they going to call it Kids BOP still?
No, I don't think so. Just BOP.
Just teasing. Anyways, yeah, that's actually an interesting one, the professional liability insurance. What I was going to cover. So as a consultant, for example, we help a lot of startups, investors, venture capital, all sorts of firms around the world, and it's important to carry, professional liability, because you might give advice and maybe they take it properly, maybe they take it with a twist or turn. Exactly. And you have to protect yourself, and it carries into different verticals too. My father actually owns a law firm called Bois and they do corporate law, among other things. He's written books even, but I know just from conversations with him, there's certain types of insurance they carry for the types of deals they do within the corporate world.
Yep.
Whereas there's certain things they don't do, specifically certain types of investor contracts or equity situations, because of the insurance that can come back from someone saying, oh, my equity was split this way or this way. So there's certain types of deals they do or don't take on to help entrepreneurs and startups or realtors. Another type of insurance from a real world situation I was going to bring up is actually, I also run globaldronevideo.com. So we do aerial drone for government and commercial, startups, events all over the country. And there's different types of insurance we carry. There's some drone specific ones, but a lot of companies also want to see that you have general liability. So even if you're flying over and you hurt a building or hurt humans, that you can pay.
Yes.
And I know that's not your specialty, but what maybe insight could you provide for anyone running a drone business out there?
Anyone running a business in general, whether it be drones or a venture capitalist, general liability is the first place to start. You need to go through a series of questions with your insurance broker or agent and get to the bottom of what type of insurance you need. How many employees do you have? Are you independently owned? Where you're located? Who your clients are, because that matters too. If you're droning over a public area, or is this usually residential? So there's so many different questions that need to be asked to just answer your question. So just by knowing that, if your agent or broker doesn't ask you those proper questions, maybe you should rethink about your agent or broker.
In fact, when I got into their own business, there was actually specific projects that require different amounts of liability. Sometimes it'll be 100,000, or a lot of projects. I'm going after government bids, and a lot of projects require $1 million. And a couple different variations, including the workers' comp, depending on your staffing.
Of course.
I think a good note to be taken out of this video is also the people that you're working with. Ask if they have insurance, because what if you're working with a consultant or an agency and there's a dispute and you need to go after them to compensate you and your business for losses or anything that might have happened, and they don't have backing or funding or
additionally insured
deep pockets.
Right there.
So
yeah, you definitely want to make sure that when you're working with other contractors that they're covered too, because if they're doing work for you, contracted out, and something happens, it's still under your name. So you want to make sure that you're covered properly, they're covered properly, it can't come back on you. There's so many loopholes. I say an insurance industry is not like being a lawyer, because we know a lot of the same terminologies. It's a lot of the same schooling there for the first bit. And you have to know those loopholes. You have to be properly educated. You have to have the proper policies. And you don't know unless your agent or broker asks you. So that's really going to be the main outlet, is they have to ask you the proper questions, and you have to find the right fit for you in order to do that. So definitely have to trust your broker agent for that.
And a final another note, I would tell a lot of entrepreneurs, don't be worried about the costs or of premiums or insurance. $1 million policy doesn't mean you're paying $1 million. You're protected for that, but it might only be 100 or 200 bucks a month. Sometimes less. More based on your liability and your type of business and the risks involved for the insurer. But
well, kind of a good rule of thumb, because I'm glad you brought up the cost. So typically, it's not a 100% rule, but typically when you are a business owner for any small business, it always starts at $500 and goes up from there. I have never, to this date, knock on wood, seen a policy for a business under $500. It always starts at $500 and goes up from there. So if someone really presses me for a price, I'll say it's minimum $500. And then the rest depends on everything from location to
is
how
that
much
an
coverage you
annual
want.
or is it semi-annual premium? How are those usually?
Annual.
Annual. So
Annual.
minimum. And is that like legally required, or is that just pretty much?
That's just
industry
where the
standard?
rating starts.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the carriers that I have worked with, that's where it starts. And there's hundreds of carriers out there, guys, but I just highly recommend that they're governed by the U.S., of course, and governed by your state commissioner's office, because there's so many out there that are up in Canada, that are in Europe, that are saying, hey, we're 30 to 50% less cheaper than company X, which is A-rated, which is really, really good, and you pay for what you get. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. So make sure that they're A-rated, that they're governed by the commissioner, that they're governed by the U.S., and that it's okay to pay a premium for it, but no, you're not going to pay $1 million for $1 million policy. That is for sure.
Okay, and then probably gonna catch her off her toes on this one.
Keep it coming.
All right, so what about global insurance? I mean, I know every country has its own regulations, and it's tough to litigate in different countries. What are our options for global entrepreneurs that want to go global, but don't really want to necessarily get insurance in 200 countries at once?
Sure. So there are companies out there that will write, if you have locations all over the world, there are companies that will write insurance for you. But let's say if you're just in the U.S., they will handle just in the U.S., and then they can, grow with you as you grow. But there's different companies based on what your needs are. And again, that's just communication with your agent broker. Yeah.
Okay, and what about as far as professional liability out there? Inter country business. So I do a lot of business with London, for example. If something went wrong, would that still be governed by U.S. rule or British rule? Or I guess I'm not. Obviously it depends on the situation.
That's a very good question. I'd have to say the contract of which it was signed, of where the business took place, would be the best place to start. So with your E&O, just like any other business contract, it's where the business would take place.
Of the provider or
of the person giving the service.
Okay.
So, but international, I will have to look into that, and I will get back to you on it.
That's an interesting another video.
Yeah.
Global insurance.
It
options.
is. I love it that you're keeping me on my toes. I haven't done too much international insurance, but
it's an interesting niche. I mean, just to add on to the Epizon, especially if you're going to target entrepreneurs.
No, I love it. I'm taking my my progress very aggressively with my insurance company. So internationally isn't very far-fetched. So I will definitely get the answer for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that helped out and at least inspired you to look into your insurance options a little bit more, or maybe bring up new questions you had about going global, I hope, or
Yeah.
at least national, local is always fine too.
And if you
All right,
have
guys.
any other questions, let me know. So
She's the expert and she's always available. She's really good.
yeah, you can reach me at Kona@epizoninsurance.com. That's my email.
Yeah, Epizon, your new insurance company. I've been loving watching all the progress and the branding.
Thank you.
And it's a cool name. She has her tag here.
That's
She almost
so
wanted to take it
fancy.
off. I thought it was cool, so I made sure she had to keep that thing on. So.
Yeah, so it's been my own brokerage now for almost a year now. So
Wow.
I've just been enjoying it, and the producers, at our office is just a great family. So we're very happy.
Awesome. All right, guys. Stay tuned to JoshBoisTV for more entrepreneur tips.
See ya.
Out.